Howdy. Many of you already know the name Iwoca. If you've not heard of them before, they're a company that provide loans to online retailers. But we're not going to be talking too much about loans in this podcast. Instead, together myself, Matt, Dave and also Lisa from Iwoca are going to be discussing what the positive effects are of taking massive action in a new online business. Starting with the idea of hosting a real-life meetup with business owners that use the marketplaces, where just one person turned up for the first event and thinking this has legs, and then taking it to a meetup where over 100 business owners attended, what it takes to turn up every day and do the grind, and what it takes to arrange 17 meetups with business owners just like you. You're going to hear Lisa's struggles along the way, and you can hear their story as they went from zero to where they are today in just 3 or so years. Lisa, who are you and what do you do?
Hi, so thanks Matt and Dave first of all for inviting me, which I haven't said yet. But I am the partnership manager and events manager at Iwoca. I joined the company about 2 years ago in the very first months of life of with lots of ideas by the time I'm buzzing around, but definitely lots of space as well. And about Iwoca. So Iwoca is a tech company core. We launched about 2 years ago, and what we do is we help online retailers to grow their business by providing them with the funds to invest in additional stock, technology, or more staff, or whatever they need to grow their business and take advantage of the fantastic position where they are at the moment. We've been doing this, as I said, for about 2 years. The company was launched by our co-founder, Chris and James, who were coming from investment banking backgrounds, so they could see how small businesses had massive opportunities in front of them, particularly e-commerce businesses. And there was no one out there that was giving them the correct support to be able to fulfill whatever they were able to do, whatever the growth plans were.
Sorry, Lisa, just to jump in there. One of the curious things is that you take into account their business dynamics. So you take into account their feedback. You can link up to their Magento website. You can link into PayPal as well and actually see what the business is actually doing.
Yes, we can. Exactly, correct. So the way we do it is we can link into their eBay and their Amazon account, their PayPal account, as I said, the Magento, Shopify, EKM. Really, we have, you name it, practically we support any platform on the e-commerce space, Sage Pay and go on and so on and so forth. I could go on forever. And when a business comes to us, they can link their accounts on these platforms to their work application, which obviously all happens online. And this allows us to see what they've been transacting in the past, so what they've been selling, how they've been running the business. And it helps us to put an offer in place that is fair and is based on how the business performance has been so far. On top of that, we obviously look at their feedback, at their, for instance, on their returns and how they've been working with their customers. And we put all the social media, for instance, and we put all this information together to understand how the business has been doing and what we can help them with.
Because that's really curious. So you, unlike a traditional bank, which would ask you to put your house on the line or wouldn't basically understand the marketplaces, in short, you do.
We do, yes, we do. We understand the marketplaces, we understand the business our customers are in, and we think this is the most important thing to be able to help them. When sellers come to us, the full funding process, the full application process happens online through our website. And it takes literally just a few minutes to come through to finish the application process and come through to us. When the sellers come to us and fill an application online, the application comes through to our account managers. All of our account managers have e-commerce backgrounds. One of them was running his own eBay business. He did hundreds of thousands of transactions. The other two of them were working for an eBay business. So they really understand eBay, Amazon, and e-commerce in and out. And they're speaking with each and every one of our customers every day. Well, obviously not each and every one every day, but they speak with our customers every day. And when a seller comes to us, the application gets through to one of these guys. And these guys obviously understand the business and are able in 3 seconds to talk PayPal, talk eBay, talk Amazon, talk eBay fees, and speak about the things that really are important to a seller, which a bank obviously wouldn't be able to do.
Indeed. Now, the angle which we're going to be taking is about obscene massive actions. what we mean by that is that you're like relatively new to this arena, like less than 3 years ago, and you've consistently turned up. And what me and Dave would like to do is have a look a little bit deeper and delve into some of the challenges which you've had along the way, because turning up every single day, turning up to, in this case, every single event, the organisation of it, understanding sellers, getting speakers to talk, and just delving into what you've been doing, it is just such a challenge. And the only way which you've done that is that you've been acting like one of the business owners, which your primary market is that they're entrepreneurial. They're getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They're finishing at like 2 o'clock at night. They're in there in the thick of it, and something which you're doing it yourselves. And that's the angle which we'd like to take. So can you kind of explain what have you been up to help the outer community?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think on this question I could start now and maybe talk for the next 2 hours. But definitely, we are entrepreneurs ourselves. We are a small business ourselves. We consider ourselves a startup in the fact that we had an idea, so a technology in place, and we decided to launch this business and grow it as fast as possible and as good as we possibly could. And to do that, you just have to be hands-on and do everything. We have, as you said, turned up to every event. We've had a look at anything that our customers could need and could do with to grow the business and get the best out of us. We've built partnership with the big companies, with the small companies, with anyone that works in the same sector as our customers do or ourselves do. We've gone to all events, we've organized events ourselves, and we found any way possible to make sure that the sellers we're working with could come to us to find the people to talk to get access to resources and, get easy access to resources to grow their business.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what the business owners, the person listening to you, listening to this right now, that's you all over. You're in the thick of it. You're going the extra mile, not just once a week, but you're doing it every single day. You're getting into those places where you spot a niche in the marketplace, then you're straight in there. You're finding every route to get into that niche and then exploiting it as hard and as fast as you can. So changing tack onto the events which you've been holding, can you just tell us a little bit more about those and where did the idea come from?
Yes, absolutely. So as I was saying before, not only we've turned up at every event, but we've also organized events ourselves for the benefit of the sellers. The idea came from the fact that we realized a couple of years ago that eBay used to run events for sellers to meet and share their experiences and learn from each other. And lots of the people, the sellers we were talking to from the very beginning, were missing these events and were also coming to us with questions about how to grow the business and where they could find XYZ resources that they really needed to get ahead. And we're really missing a platform to share these ideas. So we thought, why not? Let's give it a try. So we launched a meetup, as in an event on the meetup.com website. And the first event in London, I think there were about 5 people. So to be honest, I wasn't even there myself. I wasn't even organizing it. There were about 5 people, really. And it was our CEO, the person who was organizing the events at the time. I wasn't at the company yet. And probably Chris Dawson or something like that. That was pretty much it. And one seller. So they thought, okay, if one person will show up, I'm sure we can get more people next time.
One's a result. It's better than none.
Exactly. One is better than none.
It proves the concept, doesn't it? That, exactly. Yes, someone is interested.
Exactly. So that was our first meetup. Since then, we've run about 17 events, I think, if I haven't lost count of it. And the idea behind the events, which was the idea from the beginning, was an occasion for sellers to meet after work, 6 o'clock, meet in a pub, have a drink together, maybe meet some interesting people that we would want to invite to have a talk, so get someone interesting and knowledgeable to talk about what sellers, something to help sellers grow the business, keep them up to speed with what's going on in the industry. And most of all, meet other sellers and exchange ideas and exchange pain points, exchange tips from each other, and just learn from each other.
Yeah, it's a fantastic concept. Again, if you can get one person to turn up, then you've gone from there. And again,
I just want to add in there, Matt, the last one that I went to up in Manchester, I'm pretty sure there was between 60 or 80 sellers then who turned up to the one in Manchester. Yeah. So you guys have grown it really well.
Well, I have to say, I think our most successful event had about 130 people there.
Wow.
And obviously we couldn't fit. Really, it was really difficult because then you never really know, right? Because it's an open event, you never really know how many people are going to turn up. And there comes the challenges, actually. There's so many challenges behind organizing them, you can't imagine.
But, what a good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly.
What a good problem to have, I have to be honest,
That's a really... Sorry, I work in a world of bad problems. So those are unrecoverable. What I really like on a personal level is really good problems. Like problems that we've done too much bandwidth this month. And a problem that you've had too many people turn up, too many sellers turn up.
Yes.
What a brilliant problem.
Yes, brilliant problem to have. Well, I think another interesting event was when eBay came to speak. That was quite something, actually. And as I said, I can get started and never finish, really.
No, keep going. I really am enjoying this. Go.
Okay. So it was a fantastic event when eBay came to speak. They once came unofficially, converted commas, as in they showed up to the event to have a look at it and see what was going on and who was doing this thing and what was being said about them, really, which was quite something because you would never expect eBay to just want to make sure that they want to see what sellers were saying in an informal situation. And once they actually came officially to speak, and it was about the seller standards. So they realized that the events were a fantastic platform for them to speak directly with the sellers. So a very nice lady came to give a very good introduction to, at the time, the key point of the seller standard was the images, which is still quite a hot topic, really, but that was probably 6 months ago to a year ago. It was a really, really big topic. So eBay was really keen to make sure that sellers knew about it. And so they asked me if they could join the event.
Of course.
Yeah, it was quite good.
It's happy days. Again, we've seen a similar tact with the coffee mornings, which we run, which is that they kind of hid in the background. And then one day they may turn up in there again. The one thing which most people don't know about eBay is that they actually do care what's being said about them. Amazon are maybe a little bit more bullish. It's probably the best word to describe them. Whereas eBay, they genuinely do care. So they're always there in the background.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. They're always there in the background, but they're a bit too big of an organization to actually take care of everything. So they, sometimes they poke in and out, really.
Yeah. Maybe that's the disparity. Maybe that's the disparity to somebody who's listening to this and us, compared to eBay, that eBay's this great big juggernaut, and if they're going to do something, they've got to go through all this red tape to make it happen, whereas we'll just go and make it happen. We'll just go and do it and see if somebody turns up. And then, we'll go, oh, someone turned up, this is going to be great. And whereas they couldn't warrant just saying, oh, only one person turned up. They need double digits to triple or quadruple digits to warrant doing something like that. Very curious. Okay, so changing topic slightly. Out of those 17 or so events which you've been and hosted, what was the best question you heard asked by a seller? Like maybe one which made you laugh, or maybe caught a expert off guard, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think this is quite a hard question, and because I heard so many questions and I heard so many interesting ones, but at the same time, I have heard so many experts being caught off guard. But I think there's one that popped in my mind just now, which I think it's worth mentioning, and that was on a panel discussion. It was the last question of a panel discussion, and the person who was monitoring the panel asked the panelists, so what do you think everyone will be doing in the next 5 years? What do you think, if you go fast forward 5 years, what do you think it's going to look like here? And one of the panelists answered, 5 years? This group of people, all of us back here together, I think we'll be talking about IPOs.
Nice.
And I thought, well, that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, I think I go with this one.
Yeah, I like that style, which is that big, and you never know what's going to happen. So I understand why that one's come out in there. So surely, with so many events, something must have gone wrong along the way, like the venue wasn't open or something like that, or a technical hitch. You're giggling. There's something going on there in the background.
The reason why is that I think each and every event has lots of problems coming with it. You can't imagine how much time and how much, really time I invest into just making the event happen. Because the caterer will not show up, or the venue will be wrong, or the speakers will not show up. Each and every time. I don't think I've been to an event that has gone smooth. But I think by the time you get there, everything really falls into place. For as bad as it can look like from the outside, I can't recall any event that has gone substantially wrong. Because it's about just meeting other sellers and just having a good time together and exchanging ideas. You can be in a fantastic venue, you can be, in the back of a pub, and it's not really going to make any difference. The most interesting or important thing is just to have the people there.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about, is being in there with the sellers. And again, it's just like, from our point of view, it's being in there with our ears to the ground, listening to what's going on. So, like, going off topic or going off script a little bit, Dave sent me an email a couple of minutes ago from a chap called, just call him John, for example, and he's got some problems in there, and he's thinking about just bailing out of what we class as the third generation. And I'm going, well, actually, this is really simple. Just go and say that you've spoken to Matt, and go and do this. Job done. Again, you've got to be in the thick of it. You've got to have your ear to the ground on there. So, staying on the topic of the events for a few moments again, because this is really Iwoca just as entrepreneurial side. This is our point of view. It's just you've just gone in and getting there in the thick of it. The same as what we're doing, me and Dave, and the same as you listening to this. You're in the thick of it. You're in the grind for it. So, out of all the events which you've hosted, what was like the largest? What was the most quirkiest location, or which one did you have the most fun at?
Yes, I think this is a really good question, and I think they call it the best event we've hosted so far. Whether it's the quirkiest location or whether the most fun event was probably the meetup we hosted in Edinburgh back in October.
Mm-hmm.
That was fantastic, and the reason is that it was our first and only event in Edinburgh, in Scotland, and it was absolutely fantastic the way we've been welcomed. So consider that about half the events we've hosted so far were probably in London, and then we've been in Manchester a couple of times, we've been in Birmingham a couple of times, but we were always thinking about going up north and never really did the step. And then we decided to give it a try, right? And we scheduled an event in Edinburgh for October. We organized it. We went up there, both me and the CEO that came with me had never been in Edinburgh before. Mm-hmm. And it was fantastic how Scottish sellers absolutely loved it. Rome was packed again. We had about 110 people or something like that. So about 100 people showing up. And yes, it was fantastic. And great speakers, really nice, warm, welcoming. And we had found a fantastic venue as well. We were on the rooftop terrace of an hotel in Edinburgh, which is right by Auto Seat, I think. So you had like the hill right next to us, and we're on the top of the city. You had a fantastic view on a really, really beautiful October evening. So
this was inside. Sorry, I've been to Edinburgh. I know what it's like. Yeah, that's right. That was inside.
It was effectively like a glass house on a rooftop. So the venue was really brilliant. So you had this fantastic view. The weather was brilliant, which is also quite unusual. It was clear, it was sunny, and it was at 6 o'clock, sun going down. It was just stunning. And the people were just amazing. Everyone really, really enjoyed the event. They asked us over and over again to do another one, and which I haven't quite got around to do it, but I will eventually. And the speakers were really good. It was just a really, really good occasion and a really, really good meetup. It meant a lot to what Meetup is about. It was really just a fantastic opportunity for sellers to meet other sellers, to meet interesting speakers coming from all over the UK. We had gathered people from London and brought them up. So, yes, it was by far the best event I think we've done so far.
Okay. So, daft question, when's the next event? When can somebody come and meet Iwoca next? When's the next On Seller Meetup?
We scheduled something in the north. I think it's going to be between Leeds and Manchester. We haven't quite decided where we're going to host it exactly, whether in Leeds or Manchester. And I think it will be between the end of May and beginning of June. But if you go to onlinesellermeetups.com.
Mm-hmm. Of course, you've got your dedicated website for that as well, haven't you?
Yeah. And we keep on the website a record of past events. We keep pictures. We obviously film all the presentations. So I haven't quite said, but the structure of each event is obviously people come, there's a couple of drinks, we sponsor drinks and nibbles and food for everyone, and we organize the whole thing, but then the rest is really left to the crowd to move along as they wish. But everyone arrives, and we usually invite 2 or 3 speakers to talk about some hot topic in the industry, or to talk about something that might be useful for sellers, or maybe we organize a panel discussion every now and then. So there will be a bit of welcoming drinks, about an hour of talks, if you put it this way. And obviously with Q&A, we like to keep the talks very interactive, so that it's not just about someone, giving a pitch or doing a presentation and telling seller what they should do, but it's more about them having an occasion to discuss ideas really in an open Q&A session with some very interesting people. And then the rest of the time, again, after the talks, is left for more food, networking and drinks. So we usually film each presentation and put it online. So you can find all videos of past events on the Meetup website.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking back to the Internet Retailing Conference, and it was like pure fluke that we spotted you there. Sorry. Again, we've not spoken in quite a while, and the reason being, we've just had our heads down.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, in the beginning of April, I've had 4 days off, something like that. And the rest of it, and again, one of those was Mother's Day, which I couldn't get out of. And we've just had our heads down. And this is, again, we really appreciate you joining us, because this is us getting our heads above the wall of the day-to-day grind and going, hey, look at what they're doing. They're kind of just like you. They're in the grind. And yeah, this is like really cool. I'm just thinking, we've Doug Lawrence, that was the chap's name, which stood out from the...
Oh, he was brilliant.
He was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was quite good, I agree. Yeah, from the UKTI.
Yeah, that's right. So, sorry if we've just been and lost you. One of the speakers which Lisa invited to this online seller meetup up in the Internet Retailing Conference for after the event was a chap from the UKTI. Can you just explain about what Doug does? And Dave, jump in and can you give us a quick overview to what Doug covered?
Yes, absolutely. So Doug is an e-commerce consultant and generally e-commerce expert that works for the UKTI to help more sellers get access to the tool and resources to expand internationally. So the UK Trade and Investment Association, that stands for UKTI, is a government body that is really keen in getting UK businesses to expand internationally and generally export as much as possible, because it's good for the economy, because it's good for the businesses, and it's good for UK. So obviously, being a government body, they have external consultants that they pick and choose from the top consultants in the country to make sure to give the businesses the support they need, in this case, expand internationally. So Doug is one of these consultants. Well, Dave, I leave it to you, but he was quite knowledgeable, I would say.
I was just going to add to that. I say, I was a consultant for a year and a bit, and I thought I knew quite a bit about cross-border trade. Doug blew anything I knew out of the water, and then a little bit more. The guy was just on a whole different level, and he was telling me things I'd never even heard of, and marketplaces out in Japan that I'd never even heard of. And that guy is, for me, he's definitely up there with some of the most knowledgeable people I've ever heard speak, and he spoke so well as well. The presentation, It wasn't boring, he made it interesting, he interacted with the audience. That guy knew his stuff, and you could see straight away that he loved it. He loved the cross-border trade and selling internationally. And for me, like I said, he just covered so many bases which a lot of sellers wouldn't even think to cover. I was really impressed with Doug. Very much impressed with him. Yeah,
and from my point of view, I learned stuff as well. It was just like in awe. In fact, I felt a little bit like embarrassed when I put my hand up, because what was Namecheck, so namechk.com, which is a tool which you can type your business name into and check your availability across all the sites. And I've done that, and we've got as many greens as we could. And I felt really embarrassed that I just put my hand up and said that we've been and done that. And I remember myself blushing at the point in time, because apparently nobody else had been and done that. But you could, again, just focusing on Doug for a moment, is that it was very curious because you could tell he was an experienced speaker, because when something didn't get the reaction which he was after, he quickly put it to one side and moved on to the next piece very, very quickly. And he was so experienced that you didn't notice it. And it was really, really good. And I actually felt that, and as Dave said, walked away from that online seller meetup learning something new. That's the thing. What you're doing, Lisa, is getting a group of what I class and what Dave classes as the cool people together and get them together and just getting them to interact. That's one of the biggest challenges, isn't it? What you've already identified is that I live on a hill and I look out across Bristol, and there's so many houses, and the reality is that a fair proportion of them use the marketplaces to sell on. The thing is that they're in their office like me right now. They're in their office with their door closed and they're not getting outside. And just on a personal level, if you've got the opportunity to go to one of these online seller meetups, go. Just to go and meet people just like you. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you're saying it, because I couldn't officially. Because I organized the events, so I'm glad you guys enjoy them. Definitely come along. And if you can't come along, always go have a look at their website, see what the next events are going to be, or have a look at the past event videos so that you can always learn something from what happened before.
Mm-hmm. So on that note, where can someone find out more about Iwoca and more about what you do?
Definitely. So I think the best place is our website, iwoca.co.uk. Mm-hmm. And that's the best place really to find more about Iwoca, or just get in touch with me. I leave my contact details, my lisa.starita@iwoca.co.uk, or I'm sure Matt will be able to have them somewhere.
Put the links underneath this on the article that goes with the podcast.
Fantastic. Or give us a call. We have, as we said before, we have a team of account managers that are really nice people, and they are definitely having a chat with, definitely worth having a chat with them to understand what our business is about and what we can do to help sellers, whether it's with funding or with just a bit more support to the events. Feel free to get in touch.
Mm-hmm. Do I have a question? Are you on LinkedIn?
I am. Yes, I am on LinkedIn, although my profile is really outdated. I'm not the best LinkedIn person, but Lisa Starita on LinkedIn, and I'm sure you'll find me or find Iwoca, really.
Yeah, again, we'll pop the links and your email on the website underneath this podcast on the actual article as well. So that somebody, if you're listening to this and you want to get in contact with Lisa, we'll put Lisa's contact details there for you. So just to quickly summarize, because I think that this is like an amazing story. So it doesn't matter if you sell on the marketplaces yourself or you're in a completely different environment to the marketplaces. Basically what happened, you identified an area which you think you could work into, an area where a big corporate like eBay didn't or couldn't get into. And then you got in there, you had one person turn up. And whereas like eBay would, or somebody else would have like panicked, you went, wow, someone turned up. This has got legs. And then you got in there, you got into the grind, and you turned up. Not just one, but you did it 16 more times afterwards, and you've got more lined up as well. And you did it consistently over a long period of time. And again, I'm a strong... Sorry, I know this is me talking quite a bit, but 90% of the battle is won by just turning up, and you've consistently turned up. So from myself and Dave, well done. We've seen what you've been doing. We know the work. We know the effort which is involved in organising not just one event, but lots of events. That's a real, hat tip to you. We know what's involved, and well done. So
thank you, guys. I was about to say I really appreciate it because I can see that someone is recognizing it. It's fantastic.
Oh, definitely.
Indeed. So Lisa, thank you ever so much for joining us for this chat, and thank you for listening to this as well, and we'll catch you in the next podcast. Thank you.